I'm Mark.
And I'm Josh.
And this is Alter Ego Comics TV for the week of April 4th, 2012. Josh is back. Welcome back, Josh. How was your assignment last week?
It was great.
Excellent, excellent. Josh was on safari. Now he's back. And it's a huge week in the world of comics. We've got some big Marvel stuff going on, which we'll get to right now. The first book we're going to talk about is Avengers VS X-Men #1, written by Brian Michael Bendis with artwork by John Romita Jr. And if you haven't heard of this, you must be living in a cave someplace, because Marvel has been pimping it all over the place. It's a 12-issue series, comes out bi-weekly, so we've got 6 months of Avengers vs. X-Men, and honestly, it was good. I was a little nervous for Marvel because they really needed a win, and the first issue is off to a great start. It's got kind of the feel of an old-school big event to me. You know, their recent events have been touted as big events, but have kind of fizzled for one reason or another. But this has the same epic feel of a civil war. And part of the thing I think that's helping that is there's been a lot of emotion in the Marvel Universe lately, especially in the Avengers, in the world of the Avengers, and in the X-Men. So there's a lot of emotion, there's a lot of pent-up frustration and sadness and anger and all this other stuff. So that's just, it all comes to a head in this first issue of Avengers vs. X-Men. I'm actually looking forward to all of the tie-in issues that are coming out. You'll see that every X book and Avengers book for the next 6 months is branded Avengers vs. X-Men, and just from the solicitation information we've seen in the covers, it just looks exciting. As a longtime Marvel fan, I want this to be awesome. And so far, again, the first issue did not let me down. One thing you want to think about is if you have a smartphone, you can download the Marvel AR app for augmented reality, whatever that means. Throughout the book and throughout each issue of this series, there'll be a little AR on some pages, and you just scan that with your phone, and it gives you bonus content, kind of like DVD commentary stuff, you know, director's cut material. So you can use your phone, use the technology to experience some extra stuff in the printed version of the comic, which is great. And the only way to get that is to buy the print version and then use your phone to get some digital content. You also get a complete digital download of this issue, actually of every Marvel issue starting now. So you pay your $3.99 or $2.99 for a book, and much like when you buy a DVD combo pack, you can go and get a digital copy that you can use on your iPad or other device.
Now that's on every Marvel book or every
$3.99? It's going to be on every $3.99 book. I don't know if it officially starts with Avengers vs. X-Men #1, but it does include Avengers vs. X-Men #1. And those of you that have been buying Marvel, you've seen the last few weeks, there have been a number of those $3.99 issues that include a free digital download, which is cool. Also, with this first issue, you get access to an exclusive digital comic by Mark Waid that focuses on the character of Nova. And the only way to get that, again, is to buy the print copy of the book to get access to that. So thank you, Marvel, for that, for not forgetting your retailer partners. And print, you can have the best of both worlds. I mean, I have an iPad. I don't read comics on it because I hate it. And print comics are better. So you can buy a print comic and get access to the digital stuff too.
And also from Mark Waid, in addition to a free Nova comic, is DareDevil number 10.1. We're continuing Marvel's wonderful tradition of .1s that make no real sense in the strictest numbering. But it's actually really well done. It's a great pick-me-up if you have even the most tangential knowledge of Daredevil. 10.1 runs you through everything. You know, it gives you the background, but it doesn't do it in a ham-fisted way. You know, it knocks out pretty much everything up to the current arc in a page or two, and it picks up right where the book's been going. It gives you a great jump-in story, and Mark Waid's Daredevil is just really cool. You know, Daredevil is a smart guy, and in Mark Waid's book, he's actually defeating enemies in an intelligent way. He's using his brain, he's outwitting them, and it's just so much fun to read. That's all. Daredevil is really fun.
We're going to continue talking about it until everyone is buying Daredevil, whether it's in collected edition or a single issue format. Daredevil is easily one of Marvel's best books these days. The tough thing is that you'll see my list today is almost entirely made up of Marvel comics. So they're doing some stuff right over there, and Daredevil is definitely at the top of that list.
Absolutely.
Continuing with Marvel, as I said, I will be continuing with Marvel, except for one notable exception. Wolverine the X-Men #8 by Jason Aaron and Chris Bacalo. Bacalo, that guy, Jim Backus, Mr. Howell.
Lovely.
This, again, is just one of Marvel's best series right now. If you're looking for one X-Men book to read, I would recommend this one, Wolverine and the X-Men. In this issue, Sabretooth is working as a consultant for the Breakfast Club, the Hellfire Club. It's a group of young children who are very evil, led by a very evil leader. What's his name? Cade Kilgore, something like that?
Something Kilgore.
Anyway, so Sabretooth is consulting with them on how to defeat the X-Men because they tried in the first story arc and failed. So as a result, Sabretooth actually has a brutal battle with the Beast. You think Sabretooth Wolverine all the time, but the Beast can be pretty brutal when his loved ones are threatened and his life is threatened. He just uses bigger words during the battle instead of just grunts and growls. But there's this brutal battle between Beast and Sabretooth in this issue. And as a result of the last story arc and last issue, Wolverine is in a wheelchair, much like Professor X. I think he even at one point had the little knit blanket over his legs. I don't know. So we have to see what happens with that. Wolverine's unbreakable adamantium skeleton was broken last issue, and his legs are all cockeyed. So that's part of the storyline here with this issue, so I don't want to give too much away. And the students kind of step up in this issue. They've stepped up in every issue. I think we're introduced to some characters, or with this series we've been introduced to new Marvel characters that have really stuck and resonated with fans. Characters like Brew, like Kid Gladiator. We've got Kid Apocalypse, or whatever his name is.
Quentin Quire.
No, not Quentin Quire. There's Quentin Quire, but who's Kid Apocalypse?
Oh, the little kid who's Apocalypse. Oh,
Hence Kid Apocalypse.
Well, no, I thought Quentin Quire's secret code name was like Kid Apocalypse.
It was like Kid Omega.
Kid Omega, okay.
Anyway, what is that guy's name? I don't remember.
I don't know. He's Kid Apocalypse.
As a result of Rick Remender's Uncanny X-Force storyline. And of course, a mind-wiped angel, Warren Worthington, who thinks he's an actual angel.
And who seems to randomly go between having metal wings and feather wings.
So what's not to love about this book? I mean, it is awesome. And that's the end.
That's the end. Wolverine and the X-Men is awesome. And if you like kids in danger, I recommend you check out Danger Club. This is a new #1 from Image Comics. It sort of takes the traditional Teen Titans formula, a bunch of sidekicks banding together, and it sets them in a universe where the heroes, as heroes often do, have gone off into space to battle things, except this time the heroes lost and never came back. So a band of sidekicks is sort of forced to step up and save the world, protect the world, to clean up the streets. And as there frequently is, there's some infighting between them. Basically, the primary conflict in the first issue is over the leadership of the new, I don't even know what to call them, of the little sidekicks that are now in charge. The little sidekicks that could, but it's exceptionally...
Newsies. Call them Newsies.
Newsies?
No.
Like Batman? What was it, Newsies?
Yes.
We're going to open the gates and seize the day. But...
Was that the end
lost
of your
to
review?
Newsies.
Wow.
No, it's
See
not
what
the
happens
interview.
when we are separated from the
I don't know
show
what
for
to
a
do.
week.
I need a table, and I'm confused.
Josh is lost.
No, actually, it's very cool. A lot of times when you get into your archetype books, like let's say everything Alan Moore's ever written, you tend to get allegories. You get Tom Strong is Superman, but these kids are different. I mean, there's definitely elements of all the heroes you're familiar with, but they're not spot-on parodies. Each one is interesting, has its own background, and they have a lot of good interpersonal relationships. They do some fun kind of one-page examples of like old-school comics. Like you might see an old Scooby-Doo style page of the kids as investigating a warehouse, or like an old Teen Titans style cover of kids in danger. And it's a lot of fun. There's a lot to enjoy here if you're a comic fan, and obviously if you're not, well, I don't know why you're watching this. But very cool. Danger Club #1 on the stands today.
Next up for me is Ultimate Comics Spider-Man #9. This is by Brian Michael Bendis, and new artist on the series, but he is alternating with Sarah Pichelli, who is awesome. And this is David Marquez, who is equally awesome. They have finally found a good fit, much like on DareDevil, where you have alternating artist teams of Paulo Rivera and Marcos Martin. On Ultimate Comics Spider-Man, you've got Sarah Pichelli and David Marquez, and Marquez's stuff is awesome. You have to check it out. It's really, really good. Miles Morales, easily one of the best new characters in the Ultimate or Marvel universe, either universe. Miles Morales is one of the most interesting and developed characters, and continuing to develop as a character. And in this issue, we get Miles' evil uncle pressuring him into something that just can't end well. And it's a Spider-Man book, so we should know that things won't end well for the title character. But again, Ultimate Comic Spider-Man has just been stellar from the first issue, and I highly recommend you check it out, whether it's with this issue or picking up a collected edition and moving forward.
Next up on my list is Stormwatch number 8. One of the, I'm not going to say downside, but one of the factors in the New 52 is there's like 52 new books. So a lot of them, if they weren't awesome right away, kind of waned. And some of those that waned have been canceled or have had creative team changes. So now's actually a great time to look back through some of the 52 you may not have checked out initially or may not have had taste for, because a lot of them have changed teams. Paul Jenkins has taken over on Stormwatch, and while I really liked the first arc by Paul Cornell, it was kind of all over the place. It was a little schizophrenic, a lot of stuff going on. Jenkins has really tightened it up. There's a more clear throughput with the story, and has a lot of great character moments. There's Midnighter's Batman, and Apollo is Superman, and they're gay now. Well, Apollo and Midnighter, not Superman and Batman, as far as we know. But there's a lot of just really great moments in this issue where Midnighter has a personality separate from Batman. He's not just, you know, the gruff guy who has a plan for everything. He's genuinely interesting, and he's talking to people, and I just didn't expect that. They kind of surprised me and made the book better than I thought it was going to be. So Stormwatch is definitely worth a look if you like interpersonal relationships and crazy alien beings and the Martian Manhunter and giant evil ships. Stormwatch is good.
Okay. That may be the best review we've ever done. We go from Ultimate Spider-Man to Amazing Spider-Man 683 by Dan Slott and Stefano Caselli. We have Avengers vs. X-Men this week as the big book, but in Spider-Man you have Avengers versus the Sinister Six, and they are sinister, and Doc Ock is evil. He's an evil genius, and again, this is his magnum opus, his swan song. He's dying, he knows he's dying, and he is going to take as many people with him as humanly possible. Some high points of this issue: Spider-Man punches a former vice president in the face. That's almost worth the price of admission right there. Caselli's artwork is so perfect for this story. He's done some different arcs since the Brand New Day series of Spider-Man stories started, and I always loved his work. It really fits the storyline really well. And another outstanding issue by Dan Slott. You can tell that this is a guy who read comics as a kid, who still enjoys comics, and is is very respectful of the history of a lot of these characters and what has come before, and does an expert job of weaving that into a current storyline. So Dan Slott, you are Mr. Wonderful, you are Mr. Spider-Man. Continue to do what you're doing. Peace.
Thank you for that now. I'm now never going to be able to read Doc Ock without thinking of him as Richard Dreyfuss from Mr. Holland's opus. Actually, he might actually be
Richard Dreyfuss would be a good Doc Ock in the
Dreyfuss.
storyline, yeah. He's kind of angry.
He's a little angry. Next up, a couple of things we missed last week when I was in the Siberian Gulag. We've got a crossover between Justice League Dark and I, Vampire. Both of them were issue 7. You want to read Justice League Dark first, and then I, Vampire, which I believe it tells you in the first part of I, Vampire. But very cool. Justice League Dark has sort of meandered a bit in its first arc. It's been interesting, and I love the characters, but tying them in with the other book gives it more of a grounding that really makes it come off better, I felt. Yes, so the end of the previous issue of I, Vampire, Andrew Bennett apparently got dead, which is a bad thing. Apparently he's one of the keystones of the universe or something with vampires, and his death throws all magic out of whack. So the Justice League Dark, being the magical Justice League, gets called in, and they're teaming up with Batman and with Bennett's other sidekicks, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of the first true kind of multi-issue arc crossovers in the New 52, and so far they're doing a great job with it. And yes, vampires are scary.
Yes, they're not shiny in the DC universe.
No sparkling vampires.
My pick of the week is American Vampire, issue number 25 by Scott Snyder and Rafael Albuquerque. This wraps up the Death Race storyline, which takes place in the 1950s and features a cool James Deanish style vampire hunter, and we get the completion of his story as far as his backstory. We get some resolution to why is Skinner sweet in this series when he supposedly died in the previous series. That question is answered. The question was on my mind every issue, and I'm glad Scott Snyder didn't let that one slide by. We catch up with Pearl and Henry, our heroes from the first story arc, and we saw them during World War II, with a shocking ending. left me wanting more. And we actually got American Vampire a week later than many other stores in the country. I guess the Midwest is the redheaded stepchild of our distribution system, so we got them a week late. But the best part about that is I only have to wait 3 weeks for the next issue instead of 4 weeks. American Vampire is hands down my favorite comic book series right now. I like a lot of things, but if I could only pick one to read for the rest of my life, it would be American Vampire. If you are reading Batman and or Swamp Thing, and you're not reading American Vampire, you are doing yourself a disservice. You need to check out what Scott Snyder does with his own characters. He's playing in someone else's sandbox over at DC. DC's not going to let him do crazy stuff with Batman or Swamp Thing, although he's kind of sort of doing that now, and we're all loving it. You know, he has complete control over the characters in American Vampire, and it is awesome. So if you're enjoying his work on Batman and or Swamp Thing, you need to check this out in collected edition, or jump on board with issue number 26, which is the beginning of a new story arc.
And famously, the first arc of American Vampire was co-written, or the backup story was written by Stephen King. And the way that came about is kind of cool. Snyder sent a preview copy out to King, trying to get a dust jacket quote. And King's like, whoa, I want some of this. The book was so good that Stephen King, like, I have to be a part of this. So that's kind of a good endorsement from a literary figure.
All right, do you have more?
I do, but it's okay, you can go.
All right, well, I don't know how much more we have time for, but we have 2 events coming up that we want to get out there. We had a creator signing last week, which went over very well with Mark L. Miller, and thank you to everyone who came out to that. But I wanted to announce our next creator signing, which is Saturday, April 28th, with Rafael Rosado, who is doing he's doing the artwork on what is being touted as the next big all-ages comic, and it's called Giants Beware. It looks like it's a lot of fun. It's kind of targeted at the 8 to 12 age range, but can be enjoyed by adults as well. And he will be in on Saturday, April 28th. He's doing a live drawing session starting at noon, followed by the book signing afterwards. And Rafael is a storyboard artist for Disney, for Cartoon Network, for Warner Brothers. If you follow us on Facebook, I'm going to include, or I'll put some links in the underneath in YouTube to some of the shows that he's worked on, and there are shows that you will recognize. So we're really excited to have Rafael come in on the 28th, and then the following Saturday is the biggest, bestest day of the year, Free Comic Book Day, Saturday, May 5th, from 10 a.m. until 4. Follow us on Facebook to get all of our updates on what's going on for Free Comic Book Day, because it's going to be awesome. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay, we're out of time. Thanks for watching. See you next week.